Welcome back to the Humble Pod. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm just smiling. No, joking.
Oh my gosh, I miss you guys so much.
It's been a while.
It's been too long.
Yeah.
There's been a lot going on. I feel like between Alana going to Bali, we had sicknesses in the house. Our big sister came to visit. If you're on our TikTok fam, you would see her, the other auntie.
The school holidays as well.
Oh, yeah, the school holidays. I had the tribe for a whole week.
I don't know how you did it, to be honest.
If you guys are following Hey Auntie Summer, you would have seen my daily vlogs with the tribe. We had so much fun.
And you were so glad I was back.
No, I literally had so much fun. You keep saying that, but I literally had so much fun with the tribe.
Stop lying.
No, like it was so nice that they're on school holidays. Obviously, it was a lot, but it was fun to have the whole tribe together. And I could do we did a park trip. We did heaps of random stuff.
4 kids is a lot to juggle, especially one.
All I do the whole time is go 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, you got to have eyes in all directions. When
my
you go to the
eyes
park, you have eyes in the back of your head.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I'm cross-eyed half the time when I'm at the park because River's over there. Kai started climbing things, and who knows where Tanya's going. Yeah.
Yeah, you just keep an eye on the youngest. That's what I do. The others are pretty self-sufficient.
Yeah. Kai's fast as well.
Yeah. He thinks he's 4, but he's actually 1.
Oh my gosh. I don't know where he gets his attitude from, honestly. The sass on him.
Probably from you. You hang out enough. It's not from me.
But yes, we are so excited to be here. But before we dive into today's topic, you guys already know. No, I know it's been a while, but I didn't forget my snacks.
Of course you didn't. There's no way you would walk out the door without them.
So this one's savoury.
Ooh.
I'm trying to be a little bit
please.
more mindful with the snacks that I'm sharing because I don't know, I want them to be good snacks
I'm in
as
my
well.
health girl era.
We just joined back at the gym, so yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Been more intentional, but these ones I walked past and I was like, oh, I like those, but never seen those. So they are new veggie chips, but they're, what are they? Fusion, Asian veggie crisps, and they're like a fusion flavour. I don't know, but they looked good. And we both like veggie chips. And I feel like...
Is this sponsored?
No, I wish. But I feel like I love a salty. They're also vegan.
Discount code, hey auntie.
They're new and they're vegan. I mean, I'm not vegan, but is that a win?
Yep. Let's give them a go.
Oh, they smell... First scent, smells like your normal.
Oh, yeah. It smells like those veggie chips I normally buy.
They are the veggie chips we normally buy. They're a different flavour.
Really?
Oh, my
Why
gosh.
are they're different labels then, yeah.
Yeah, but they
don't normally look like that,
It's a
the
different
packaging.
brand. Yeah, you're right. Righto. Oh, they smell like the normal veggie chips.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the crunch.
Thinner than the normal ones.
Oh, I like them
So I
because
feel like
they're more crackery. The other ones are too puffy.
they're healthy. They feel like they're very light. You'd probably have to eat 2 packets to feel anything.
Yeah, but that's good. Yum. I feel like
They're good. Not much flavour.
I don't know about the Asian fusion I'm getting.
I prefer a spicy or vinegar.
We'll keep going. We'll decide at the end how much we really look. I don't know. I don't know if there'll be any left, to be honest.
Give us another one.
I forgot to eat before I came, so if you catch me crunching halfway, sorry about that, guys. You know I get a little bit hangry. And
Definitely expected.
Okay, I'm going to stop. Sorry, I forgot you guys can just hear me munching.
No one wants to listen to that.
You probably shouldn't be listening to the Humble Pod then, because we all know Auntie's always going to bring a snack.
Pretty much.
Let's jump in today's episode. Jump in!
Let's jump in. Come on, guys. Stand up.
Oh, I thought I was going to do good today. We're not even 5 minutes in and I'm already cracking.
Wait, let's do a bummy into the episode.
Let's just jump straight in. I always miss words because I say words in my head.
They don't come out that way.
And no, when you write a message, I do it all the time because, as you guys know, my brain works faster than my mouth. So when I'm writing a message, I'll miss so many important words, but I've said them in my head, so I'm firing it out. I'll go back and read this message, and I'm like, my friends are going to think I'm drunk.
But it's like midday.
This does not make sense.
Makes sense to me because I'm used to it.
We're not going swimming today, guys. Sorry to disappoint you, but we're just going to jump straight into today's topic. Lana, what is it?
Young love.
Lana actually decided on today's topic. We have both experienced young love from a young age.
I feel like everyone experiences that, like from a young age, teenage love and your first
kind of
love.
your first love. Yeah, we're going to discuss our first loves, our first young loves. I think people either have their first love and that's their love, or they learn a lot from their first love.
Or you're together and you get the 7-year itch.
Yeah, well, me and Alana's stories kind of bounce off each other because in one way, mine, I met my first love. It was 7-8 year relationship. I learnt a lot from mine and I have moved on. Alana, yours is?
Well, I met my young love and we're still together today, but it hasn't always been perfect, you know.
It's been a roller coaster and a half, I'll tell you that much. Where you helmet for this one?
Jeez, Jan, can you calm down? I mean, we had kids in between it and obviously that changes a lot, you know. You can't just walk away when you have children and, you know, that's what we're going to talk about.
I feel like yours is definitely, both of our stories are very different. So for anyone listening, I feel like you can gather something from either mine or Alana's stories. And that's the thing we love about our personalities and our life experiences is between both of us, I think someone listening is going to take something away that's valid or
young
valuable.
Mums with kids who like had them from a young age and they've probably been on the same journey that I have and they haven't spoken about it, but this is me sharing my journey just so other mums can feel like they're not alone.
Yeah.
And they'll relate, I guess.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of our TikTok fam, we love you guys so much and like you've been on this journey with us from the beginning and we can only share so much on our TikTok videos, but you've probably picked up little things here and there about more in depth to do with the Humble Tribe and Alana and Yona's relationship, their journey, and all the little things in between. So we're not going to dive into every little thing. Obviously, personal things are personal things, but we're going to do our best to share our stories.
Yeah, we just want to share our stories because I think people just think,
hair on your nose?
Jan, just leave it.
Oh.
It's probably on my beard too.
At least it wasn't attached.
Yeah, we just want to share our stories because I think like we don't want to put out there that we're perfect or our family's perfect, and we do have a lot of stories to share with you guys regarding.
I think we're gonna have to do a whole season.
My relationship, Summer's relationship.
We'll have to do a whole season on just young love and our experiences.
Yeah, or
like,
what we've
maybe
learned
this
along
is
the
part
way.
one.
Really, it's gonna be a wild ride.
Yeah, and obviously our Humble Tribe page represents our family 100%, but behind closed doors, behind the scenes, we've had to put a lot of love, intention, patience, sacrifice into all of our relationships within our family dynamic because of certain things that have occurred over the years. Like Yona's been in our family for 10 years. He's like a brother to me.
I met
That's
him
all
when I
see.
was 17.
Let's go straight into your story then. Since you're whipping it out, you can go first.
Oh, gosh.
Let's start all the way back from the beginning. Give us a little bit of a, hey.
So I went to high school with guys that were friends with Yona.
How long ago was that you went to high school? Can we just...
I graduated in 2010.
I can't even do
So
the math.
14 years.
Oh, girl.
Girl, you're only a few years younger.
I know, but that sounds like way more.
Yeah, so I met Yona through my friends who I was friends with at school. We went to the beach. I was the biggest tomboy, and honestly...
I feel like we need to get some photos up of that.
No, we don't want to, like, look back. I was the girl in board shorts and a rashie rocking up to the beach with the girls and the boys. Summer came along. She was a bit extra.
Lana got the mean chafing because she always had boardies on.
I had the boogie board, okay?
And the
I had
boogie
the body
board.
board.
Love you
And
so much.
This
We are
guy
not the same.
was like, can I have a go on your boogie board? And I was like, F off. Like, that's just the attitude
You
I
knew
was
him before
like.
that though, right?
Yeah, so we knew him through my school friends, and he was just always at our little outings that we went with our friends, and he was always there, hung out with the boys. Summer always tagged along. Mm-hmm. And then we would get on the bus, used to go back on the same bus. I worked at Subway. He used to be like, hey, can I get a free footlong? Can I get a free sub? And they
Coming
used
in
to
for the freebie straight off the bat.
I feel like that's how we started talking more, because I was like...
You were giving him free feeds. You lured him in with your footlongs.
Well, yeah, he loved his food.
I would have done that too. That'd get me, yep.
Yeah, and it was just kind of one of the guys I knew. And then I think We
Met at a club?
No, we actually went on we used to meet at rugby and randomly went on a date one day. We caught the bus to nowhere. There was no movies on, and then we caught the bus back.
I feel like all of us back in the day, that was something we did. Back in the day, oh my gosh, how old do I sound? But this is something Tanya and that won't be doing at the moment. But we used to, just catch the bus to nowhere.
Yeah, and then
we did.
We officially met properly one night when I was out at good old Paramount.
Oh, if you're not from Perth, the Paramount is it's a club.
I'm pretty sure
I don't want to say bad things about clubs in Perth, but how would you explain it?
I was 18 and I just thought he was 18 because he was there, but he's on his brother's ID, so he was obviously 17.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's just point that out. He's a year younger. Alana's a cougar.
He's a year younger, not that much. But yeah, and then that night, obviously, we swapped socials and all that. And yeah, and then we continued on from there, had a few dates. I met his family. And 3 months later came along little pregnancy with Tanya.
Was it that quick?
Within 3 months,
Can we just comment on how old you both were then?
I was 18 when I found out I was pregnant, and
so Yana was 17.
Yeah.
So let's keep in mind as we tell this story, guys, Yana was also a very young age.
Young dad, yep.
And this came out of nowhere.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you know.
Yeah, should have listened to Mum.
Yeah. And obviously I had Tanya when I was 19. But, yeah, the pregnancy journey was definitely not easy for me. After finding out about Tanya, obviously Yana had to decide whether he was going to be a part of our life.
And you guys have only been together for 3 months, right?
Yeah.
So let's everyone keep this in mind too.
Yeah. So he decided he was going to move with his family to Queensland, and I was like, you know what, no matter what, she'll always know who her dad is, and I'm going to get on with this. I'm going to raise this child, and I'm going to make sure I give her the best life no matter what. And I feel like I always had that open communication where if he figures out that he wants to be a part of our life or our life, that's his option. But I was kind of ready to step into motherhood and be a single mum, and that's how it was.
Yeah, and I think to note as well, Alana was always I don't know, I feel like you were always born to be a mother.
I was very maternal.
That was something you were always very maternal, and you were very open to stepping into this chapter of your life. Obviously it was massive, but it was a shock, but you were also prepared
at
to
the same time. I was
Yeah.
going through my first, I thought it was heartbreak, but I didn't even know him that long, to be honest.
Yeah, but
I was going through
heartbreak. It was still your
pregnancy.
first known love.
Yeah, I went through pregnancy alone, and obviously the heartbreak alone.
I was there though, guys, obviously.
Yeah, I was living at home at the time, and I was very grateful. Summer was there, my mum was there, and I had that support there for when I had this child to take home. I was going home to my parents' home, so that was the option that I had.
Who else was at the home? I think both our older brothers and our elder sister.
Brother.
What?
We have a little brother at the time, so he was almost 2.
Oh my gosh.
When I had Tanya, yeah.
Oh yeah, so our older brothers and our big sister had moved out. Me and Alana was still living at home, and our little brother was within that. Oh my gosh, he was 2.
I feel like he's the one that
And
kind of
then
got
me
me
and
a
Alana
bit clucky and maybe I'll have
Yeah, we were used to having a
one.
baby in the house.
Yeah.
We were used to it, and we were both very nurturing, and it definitely came naturally having to support you and you go through that.
So from there, obviously went through the labour with Summer and Mum there.
Oh my gosh, yeah, guys, I was in the room. I can remember that.
She helped deliver her. Yana was...
what was your communication with, Yana through that period? Obviously, we were close, but, I don't think we talked that closely about your relationship with Yana.
So
you were struggling
he
a lot
actually
more
turned more so back to religion. He was... what's it called?
Jehovah's Witness?
Jehovah's Witness. So his family are very strongly Jehovah's Witnesses. And
he was
I
brought
feel
up that way.
He stepped back into that, and that was the journey he was on with his family, and I always respected whatever you want to believe in. That's up to you. And then I feel like it was hard to keep up with the communication side because he always had a new phone. I feel like being a young 17-year-old, he was off living his life, and I was ready to take on this role as a mum, and I'm like,
you're kind of forced to when you're the one giving birth and things, aren't you?
I always updated him, and then once I had baby, I made sure he came to the hospital and met her and did the respectful thing of, this is your dad. You always know him as your dad. And then, the delivery night came and Auntie was there, delivered baby, and Mum was there.
Me and Mum, and oh my gosh, what a beautiful experience. This is another, I think, chapter in the journey that really, locked me and Alana's bond in, watching her give birth, me being there to support her, especially within the dynamic of her relationship with Yana at the time, and, I was only 17, 18, so I was young and I was juggling the support of doing, kind of stepping up where Yana wasn't, and, obviously Mum and Dad were stepping in where they could as well. But being in that delivery room with her was a memory, we will always hold close to our heart, and that kind of, I feel like from that day on, like I've said before, our relationship was, bonded, and also my bond with Tanya,
It's crazy, she's they're the same person emotionally and everything. And the things they do.
She's so emotional like me, and I feel so bad. I'm like, oh, she's got my emotional side.
Yep. And but we always appreciate Auntie's help there.
Yeah. We lived in the same household, so.
Yeah, it's been a massive thing having that support from my kids, and I feel like I'm very grateful that I've got a loving environment with Summer being an extra support there for them.
Yeah, and I think just in a different way, so that's nice. Our personality is so different.
Outside point of view,
it's nice how we bounce off each other. But so baby came home, and then when I'm trying to think of through that period, say the first year, when Yana kind of came in and out, or what changed that first year?
I remember meeting up a few times with baby until she was about 6 weeks old. And then he had officially gone back to Emerald. So he spent back
to Queensland over East.
Queensland.
So he wasn't in the state.
So up until from when she was a few months old, up until she was 2, he was in Queensland. Yep. So I was obviously, doing a lot of the things on my own, raising her and the milestones and all that. And I would update him.
Yep.
And sometimes, I couldn't communicate with him because his phone broke or he got a new phone, but I was not concerned about what he was doing and the life he was living because I was so caught up in being a mum for my child.
Yeah. And I feel like he was, I don't know, he was doing the best and dealing it the best way he could from an outsider view of his family was his support, and he went back home and he dove into his religion and he dove into his family, and you did the same. And the baby
I think
thing
in
was
the back of his
process.
Mind, he couldn't be the dad that she needed. So he chose to be not there until he was ready to be mature enough. And obviously those things did affect me in the relationship, doing those things alone. But I feel where we are now today, that's gotten us to where we are. And
100%.
We had to go through all those,
100%.
Obstacles.
No way Yana would have stepped up and become the father he is today. And I think even just you in that isolated section of your life as a mother, you had to step up to in certain ways without him there. Everything aligns as it's supposed to, and
So it
all planned out.
He came and visited for Tanya's second birthday, and then
I was gonna say, when did you guys get back together? Date wise, my mind's bad.
Yeah, so he came for his second birthday, and that's when we realised obviously he had the feels.
Still had the feels. Were you still wearing boardies then?
No, I feel like I changed a bit. But and obviously for me, those feelings never went away. They were always there. And then he went back to Queensland. We did long distance for a year while he worked, and then he officially moved over to live with us when she was 3.
And then I'd moved out by then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think.
so
I'd moved out the year prior.
Yeah, and and then obviously he moved back over. He worked here, found a job in a metal scrapyard, and then worked his way up, did his scaffolding course, and then
he did FIFO.
Yeah, we made the decision as a family that he would start doing FIFO work, and then
for how long? How long was that?
So Noah was 4. So that must have been a few years down the track. Yeah, so Tanya would have been 4, and then we just had Noah. He was 5 days old, and Yana flew out for his first FIFO job, scaffolding. And it was normally
all the sacrifices.
3 in 1 or 2 in 1. But yeah, and then I feel like that's where obviously we went through other challenges when it came to relationship side, and him obviously seeking, like, he always drank alcohol and he was always a big drinker from a young age because it was just normal for him. He was raised to you leave school and you go work a job to provide for the family, but when you finish work, we'll drink beers. Like, that was normal, and that was all he grew up with. It was just a consistent thing that every day or every second day or every weekend they would drink a lot.
Yeah.
And that was his normal. And I think you don't see it when you're that age. You don't see it as this is going to become an issue because...
Oh, especially not when the adults around you are setting the path and like it's the norm, right?
Yeah.
So you wouldn't really look for the issues because it's the norm around you.
Yeah. So obviously once he started the FIFO job, he actually started drinking a lot. Yeah. And that was...
FIFO
something we didn't really do around our kids because I feel like it wasn't just something that we did at home, and it wasn't something that I wanted my kids to grow up with, knowing what he grew up with and, like, you know, the things he would tell me, and I'm like, well, that's not what I want around my kids. So long story short, he started the FIFO, and obviously his go-to when he was away was alcohol, and it was just another life for him, another numbing thing where I'm away from my family, I'm sad, I'm just going to go drink with the boys. It was
his way to cope, right?
Yeah, and that became like a coping thing for him every time he was away. And I think I didn't actually know the true extent of how bad it was and how much he was drinking, whatever he was doing, the other life that he was getting up to, like being away. I feel like they turn their FIFO family into, that's my family. And then when they come home, it's a whole nother world where they go, actually, I'm just going to pick up where I left and just pretend my FIFO family isn't like a whole nother world to me.
I think the hard thing is because obviously my ex-partner also worked FIFO, so I experienced the dynamic of relationship FIFO-wise with alcohol in the mix as well. But the hardest part is, like, say when you're doing the 2-in-1 swings or 3-in-1 swings, like their reality is a majority at work. Like their reality, a majority of the time, is their FIFO life, and then they come home and then that's kind of like another part of their life.
We struggled a lot when he had to come home and pick up.
The balance is very out, and I think mentally the effects of that and where your priorities lie can easily be thrown out unintentionally.
Yeah.
And then the effects that has on your loved ones or your partners or whoever's at home that you're leaving each time is massive.
And it wasn't easy for me being at home with a child. Like, I had a newborn at that stage, so I had 2 kids, and I feel like I felt like lost a lot of the time, and I obviously kept that to myself because he was away working hard for the family and providing, whereas I didn't actually, have a full understanding of what life he was living when he was getting dropped at the airport, jumping on that plane, and who he was surrounding himself with. And obviously everyone has that choice, you know, when they go away to work, you have that trust in your relationship. You have that trust, okay, like I trust in him that he will go away and come home to his family, communicate with me if he needs to, and that's how it's going to be. It got to the point where he was coming home and he was still going to the liquor store every day, and he was mowing the lawn just so he could get that reward of going to the liquor store to drink afterwards, or like he was doing these tasks around the house so he could get to the liquor store at the end of the day. And I started to see it as a problem, and I was like, you're drinking quite a bit, and I think a lot of FIFO families understand how big of an issue it can become, especially if he's been drinking from a young age. But once you start to see that it affects their choices they make at home towards you, how they're helping with the kids and whether they're helping with the kids, and just his whole demeanour changed. Like, it got to the point where I felt like I didn't know Yona. He was a different person, and like, a lot of people talk about, you know, being alcoholics and all that, and that's exactly what he became.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where we were like, something's got to change because, like, I don't know who you are anymore, and either you've got to stop working away or you need to stop drinking.
Yeah, and I think the hard thing as well is that obviously was affecting his mental health. He was doing it to numb himself. But then in turn, that was starting to affect your mental health because it was struggling. You were struggling.
Home with a newborn.
You with the kids, and then your communication is lacking. And then on top of that, your mental health is now being affected. Yeah. And it's such like that one thing and just the
Alcohol
snowball
is-
effect that it can cause within the family dynamic, from your relationship to how you're parenting to then like how you're working, and then that effect it has on all your loved ones. Like, it's massive and it can happen very fast.
I think people don't realise alcohol is just as bad as drugs.
Oh, 100%.
It destroys families. It literally takes over that person and they become dependent on it. And
addiction. It is an addiction.
you
at the
lose
end
your
of the day.
family and loved ones to it. It is scary. Like the places that we kind of ended up in our relationship because of alcohol, and I was like it's scary. You don't realise that all stems from whatever's going on in his head as well, his mental health journey, and that's the step that we had to take, was seeking help for him.
And I think like an important thing you just said, like that is something in today's society, like the consumption of alcohol and to the quantities people drink and how regularly they do it has become so normalised. Like even just regularly every night after work, or, you know, if you're consistently doing these things, or that's kind of the thing you're focusing on to get you through the day is, can't wait to get home and get my bottle of whatever.
Out with the boys on the weekend.
Or every weekend, that's your focus and that's your hyperfixation of where you're finding your dopamine. Like there's something else going on internally and it's actually extremely unhealthy to continue on that path.
Definitely.
Can you remember like what the pivotal point was that like you and Yona had through that, that you were like, you need to seek help? Or did he have that? Or like how did that kind of...
I think when certain truths start coming out and I was finding out stuff like even the extent of him drinking, or the world he had away was far from the world that I thought he was living while he was away providing for our family.
And reflecting back on the chapter of the love section,
we got to the point where I had to leave. Like I was like, if nothing changes, I'm leaving, because this is not the relationship that I want to set as an example for my kids.
And now you had Tanya, Noah.
Yeah.
Was River born yet?
So we had River along this journey. Like it was a good 5 years, you know, he was FIFO. So when we had River was the moment, what year was that? So River's 4 now, so a good 3.5 years ago, or 4 years ago. He's kind of 4.5.
Like a slow build up, and then it was obviously the...
River's 4 now, so he was 6 months old when I had to walk away.
Yeah, okay. So you had the 3 kids. River was 6 months old. Just to kind of paint a better picture of the situation.
Yeah.
It was kind of, you sat here and watched him continue to do the things he was doing, and certain things happened also a little bit more in depth that are more personal, that we're not going to dive into. But then you made the decision. It was either stay in for the kids, or
he
it
wasn't
was
willing
make change.
to give up drinking. He was not willing to get help for his mental health.
Yeah.
And I was realising that I don't have the support that I deserve. Like having these 3 children, I don't have someone to talk to. I don't have someone that actually cares about me at home with their kids.
Yeah.
And like I didn't want to continue in that relationship knowing I would be happier on my own.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So
and
I did have to walk away.
I feel like you had nothing left in the tank.
No.
Like I think the thing was, prior to Alana making this decision to like walk away and be like, we need to end this here, or we need to just go our own ways for a certain period of time and then we can come back and self-reflect. Like by that point you had been trying.
I basically had said to him, you need to go figure out what you have to do in your life and make the choices on your own, because I can't do that. You can't force someone to change. You can't force someone to give up drinking. You can't force them to choose a life that they can't see that they want.
Yeah, people can only control themselves as much as we want to control them. They've got to make that decision.
You add drugs and alcohol into it, I feel like they're just different people, and like they're not themselves.
Absolutely.
They're like they turn into monsters. That's the way it felt. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know if I wanted to continue being in a relationship with him. So I said to him, like, you need to go stay somewhere else. You need to take your stuff, please. And like it was me telling him that I'm being serious. Like, go sort yourself out. Go figure out yourself. Otherwise, I'm.
Well, how many times prior to this would you say, like, you kind of had this discussion, like you were going to leave? Like,
it was every single time he was home from work. He flew in from work, having to step up and be a dad when he was home. I feel like switching that role from working away and going, I've got to switch dad mode on, like that was a big struggle in our relationship, and it was always an argument, and it was always like, I know you've been away working, but I've also been looking after the kids.
Yeah, so what time frame would you say you spent like saying you were going to leave or saying you were going to end it until you actually did?
Like years, couple of years.
Years.
Yeah, you just stay because you're like, this is, my kids need a mum and dad.
Yeah, and I think from my point of view, over the years, obviously in Alana doing that, I watched her fade away too. Like, because obviously she's so invested in doing the mum thing, and now she's also juggling, having to support her partner through addiction, because that's what alcohol is, as much as it sounds horrible to say, or it's hard to say sometimes. Like, it is, the effects of it are as bad as drugs. So like, it is addictive, and it'll change you. It can affect your life, and you can lose things through the process of it. Yeah. So it was years, and in doing that, you were losing yourself as well.
I was being emotionally abused for years, and I didn't see that side of it until when you're out of it, and when you get a healthy relationship and you work on yourself, you don't see the things you were put through and how bad they were.
And in saying that as well, like, the kids were losing their dad. Like, the kids were yet to see a strong foundational father figure that they have now. Like, let's take a moment, because I know this is getting a little bit deep, but Yona is an amazing father now. Like, he walked away.
He went to AA meeting, and he sat there with a bunch.
How long was it? He moved in with his brother, right?
Yeah,
moved in with his brother.
He obviously decided on his own to get a mental health plan, and obviously seek out further help, because he realised, oh shit, I'm losing my family because of my choices.
And he was still seeing the kids.
Yeah,
he was still seeing the kids. You had communication.
Yeah.
What time frame was this? Like, that he left, he sought help, you were still communicating, he was still seeing the kids, but you were apart?
Almost a year.
It was almost a year, hey?
Yeah, so it was literally...
How old were you then?
Well, River would have been 6 months old, so 4 years ago, 26.
Yeah.
With three children at the time.
3 children. Yona's 25, 3 kids, and he's taking himself to AA meetings.
Yeah.
So just to paint another picture of where we're at now in the chapter of Lana's love story.
Yeah. And he told me that his biggest wake up was sitting there with guys in their 50s, 60s. They had lost their jobs. They had lost their families. They had nothing. Like, they were pretty much about to be out in the streets.
Yeah.
And that was his wake-up call, where he went,
that was his moment.
Wow, I do not want to be sitting here with these guys. I need to change something.
I want more out of life. I think he recognised, he repeats like a lot of the time still, like, he didn't want to lose his family. No. He didn't want the kids to lose their father. He wanted to do better. He wanted
I think he didn't want someone else taking on that role as, that man.
He wanted the family dynamic, and he knew, like, him stepping up and now taking time to sacrifice and doing the work was the only way he was going to do that. It was hard,
like, obviously for him going through his withdrawals and seeking out help with a psychologist and all that, just so he could do the inner work. Even, like, a lot of the choices he was making was stemming from his childhood.
Yeah.
And this is why we 100%. Talk about generational trauma, and that's another topic we can talk about, because the journey he was on was because he had so much stuff deep down inside of him that he needed to get help for. And he was putting that generational trauma on me.
And I think, though, he didn't grow up in, like, a household that communicated about their feelings and their emotions.
No.
We were lucky enough that was normally always a general topic. I am very in tune with my feelings and emotions. And I think our families colliding, and Yona being a part of our family, like, we provided tools that really helped him connect to that side of him, that we literally had to teach him how to feel these things and, like, understand his feelings and how to be empathetic towards the kids and, like, be mindful of his anger and, like, realising his emotions affect people, and he just wasn't in tune with that at all, like, and not his wrongdoing, it just, he wasn't brought up with that
I think because
support.
the empathy wasn't shown to him, he just never learnt what it was.
there was a lot of sacrificing as a sister from my point of view through that stage because, like I said, certain things happened that I went through a period of not talking to Yona. Like, we did not speak. I saw him respectfully with the kids around, but, like, our relationship between us was non-existent by this point. Like, I had no respect for him and the things that he had done. And so watching our relationship build over your journey and his...
Summer was very much the person that I had to turn to at these times to get through them.
Yeah. And I also did provide Yona with a similar support once our communication grew back and I could see him trying.
Saw him making the changes.
Yeah. Once I saw him trying, I was like, okay, you're proving that you want to make change. I can see you trying. I'm going to step back in and I'm here to love and support you and not hold any grudges and help guide you through this journey, which has been like a nice experience to share with him.
Yeah. And obviously along the way, you know, we've had our ups and downs and there is a lot of trauma for me like that is hard not to suppress, and it does come up in conversations or even like building the trust that we lost in our relationship and trying to work through the emotional side where like I was used to being put through mind games and like realizing that that's like my conscience tricks me in that way, whereas before he was telling me some things I would believe them when really it was just lies. And now I'm working on having to believe what he's saying to me and that's take it for what it is because he's not the same person that he was back then.
Yeah, I think it's hard because obviously your love story is, you know, it was your first love, and like when you look at you and Yona's relationship from your first, like from the start and from that section before you guys split and he went back and you had Tanya to now, it is like two different people and you're both two different people.
And age definitely comes into that.
Yeah,
like
100%.
I'm not the same mum as I was 19. Tanya's 11 now and like, you know, sometimes I wish she had the mum that I am now, like back then.
It's like that thing you see though, like your first child grows with you and your second child you parent.
Yeah.
And like I think that's beautiful because like you and Tanya's relationship, you did grow through like that journey together. And yeah, so I don't know. I think it's beautiful.
I feel like even at 19 or up until now, I was still like a very good mum, and there was nothing.
You were amazing.
Age does not prevent you being a good mum.
No,
but obviously the circumstances
and
it's just the relationship that I had was not the best, and it's not one to look up to. You know, people make assumptions, but I was a single mum. You know, I've been through periods where I was a FIFO wife and,
you know, heartbreak.
I've been through the period where I was a single mum again. So my relationship is not perfect. And I feel like we as people like adapt to changes.
Yeah.
And it actually makes us more resilient in life. Like
100%.
You go through those things for a reason. Me and Yona are where we are today because of the things we've been through.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't realise like we're not married.
No.
We have not got married. Like we feel like because we have 4 kids and the things we've been through.
Child's way more locked in.
The things we've been through, like we're
You're
still
stuck
here.
together for life. Like if you get married, you can rip up the paper and run off. If you have a child with someone, shout out to all those single mums that are co-parenting through the struggles of that because that's a whole nother thing. But like you are locked in with that person.
Yeah, and I feel like because of what we've been through. Like, don't get me wrong, we did plan a wedding and it didn't happen when it was meant to happen. I've been through that.
A whole nother story.
Whole nother emotional game.
There's so many chapters in your story.
Oh my gosh, we paid for the wedding. I got the dress. We had the rings.
I paid for the deposit.
Unfortunately, it didn't happen. But, you know, in the world we live in today, that people are going to judge no matter what.
Oh, but what for? Like, I wouldn't mind a ring, but like the piece of paper, I feel like it's just controlled.
I'm like, if you're still here 10 years from now, I'll think about it.
But even then, like, it would just be a close family thing anyway.
Yes.
Like, it wouldn't be something massive.
And it would be something very special. And I know at the right time, you know, I will rethink all of that. But I'm still on my own journey and trying to work through everything. You guys are still growing. This is a whole nother period.
Yeah. And you've come so far, but like, there's still so much you're working through. I think more now it's like internally, independently.
Yeah.
Like that you're working through. But that would be a whole nother chapter too.
Yeah.
But it's so crazy, yeah. Wild to think of like your love journey that you and Yona have shared the whole thing together.
Yeah.
That's wild.
The same guy.
But like, so Lana's love story is just the same guy.
It's not that exciting, guys.
No, it is. I think it's beautiful. Like when you think about life, and it's just a representation of how many different people you are as you go through life, and you and Yona's relationship is a reflection of that, because you were teenagers dating, and then you were young parents, and then you were split up and you were solo, and like then you came back together. Like it's just so many different versions of you. I feel like that was a very good in-depth guideline to your love story. Appreciate your share.
Thank you.
Very vulnerable, Lance. I feel like we're into episode 4 or 5, and I can already see you speaking up more and feeling a little bit more comfortable here in the Humble Pod to share your stories.
Yeah.
And everything we share, guys, is always to provide a little bit more comfort to those going through similar experiences, maybe a little bit of guidance. And yeah, I just feel like you can maybe be heard or seen, or
definitely for mums out there that might be able to relate on the topic as well. I feel like it's a well-known topic, either becoming a single mum or young mum.
Yeah, and I feel like us being able to drop down to these vulnerable conversations just adds more context from our TikTok
of who
content that we share, because obviously our content on TikTok is always going to be love and light, and that's why we have our Humble page, and that's what we want that to be. And then we do also want you guys to know though that we are human, and our Humble Pod here is our way of diving a little deeper and connecting with you guys, so you can realize we're going through the same struggles as you. We've experienced similar things in life, and we're literally lowing.
Life's not perfect.
We're literally learning.
We low all the time.
We low all the time.
What's that, Patricia?
Oh, put her away. But we are learning and growing, and we will continue to do so till we're old and grey. Like there's no end point. We're bouncing off each other.
We're not going anywhere.
We're not going anywhere. And we're sharing this journey with you guys. So I'm going to wrap up Alana's section. We'll jump into a part 2 for mine. But we're going to finish off with just some quick questions.
Okay.
I'm going to drop you into so vulnerable and, I don't know, just whip them out. So first question is, what would you tell your younger self, like just based around your young love chapter, and what would you tell your
I would tell my
self?
younger self that you're going to be the best mum no matter what, no matter your age.
Oh, I love that.
Even though you doubt yourself right now, you're going to give those kids the best life and be the best mum. But also everything that happens in life happens for a reason.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's my favourite saying.
As corny as it sounds.
Everything, it does.
Everything that you're going to go through on your journey will get you right where you need to be in life.
I love that. That's beautiful, Arns. Can we get that on a shirt? Okay, I'm going to give you a second one.
Yeah.
If you could go back to the beginning, like of your love journey and your adolescence, what would you have done different?
I would have changed rushing into a relationship.
Yeah.
Young, because I feel like you think you know so much at that age.
Yeah.
And you think you've got it all figured out,
Your
but
head over
really,
heels in love.
really you have no idea as grown as you think you are. And I feel like younger me didn't know how I deserved to be treated in a relationship.
Yeah.
Younger me thought love was just 3 words. I love you.
Yeah, that's so true.
Younger me didn't realise I had so much maturing to do. And what else? I feel like that's a decent amount.
And I feel like the hard thing is, like, you have to go through these experiences to learn these things. So it's like, oh.
Do you know what? I wish I could tell my younger self, actually.
Yeah.
I wish I understood how much someone's childhood or upbringing would affect the partner, the parent.
Actually, yeah.
That they are.
Yeah, because now in my dating, like, that's the first thing I'm like, how's your relationship with your parents? What was your upbringing like?
How was your childhood?
Yeah, and I think, like, there are different upbringings that maybe reflect a really healthy setting of love. And obviously that's what we're going off, the tools we learn in our childhood, the relationships we accept and bring in. So that's a whole nother journey as well. But, I love that, Lance. Okay, and now I want you to just like think about younger you looking up to who you are now.
Yeah.
What would you tell yourself?
I know that you underestimated yourself, but I'm so proud of the mother that you are.
Oh.
I'm so proud that you see that you're worthy of receiving the same love that you give someone else.
I love that. Now I'm going to get teary.
Don't cry on me, Shaz.
Oh, gosh, I didn't even bring tissues.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. That's beautiful, Arms.
Yeah, it was a hard one. There was so many things that I wanted to say. Okay, I'm going to finish off asking you a question, Summer.
Okay.
This one's on you.
Okay. I didn't know you were bringing questions. We didn't talk about that. I'm not ready.
What was the hardest part of the journey that you had to watch me go through as my sister?
Wow. I don't know. Am I going to be left speechless? I feel like there was so many different hardships. What was the hardest part that I had to watch?
The motherhood side?
I think when you left Yona.
Yeah.
That moment when you called me and I came over and I just watched you like drop to the floor and I just saw like I feel like I watched you fall to pieces on the floor and like there was no turning back from it. And like as a sister watching you so heartbroken and just I feel like you just had nothing left in you and like I just oh my gosh I can just remember it still now. I remember that point I was like she needs me like and I am going to be here. But like that was definitely the hardest part of your journey for me was that moment just watching you think like you weren't worthy of love and like you just had you were disappointed and it was like your whole life was falling apart in front of my eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like that was a very hard moment for me to watch you go through. Yeah, that was the hardest part. Oh my gosh, you're getting teary too now.
I'm like, oh gosh, it's bringing up old trauma.
Yeah, no, that was. But I remember it in your bedroom.
Yeah,
I remember
it's
you
definitely
calling
hard
me.
with kids.
I remember you like me driving there faster than I should have been. Probably got a speeding fine that day. And watching you break down on that bedroom floor was like heartbreaking.
I feel like
so heartbreaking.
it's more common than you think. Like mums ending up in that position with kids.
Yeah, and I think because you were never like, you never really showed your emotions. You were very emotionally removed. Like I was always an emotional sister, but like you were very emotionally removed. So like watching you break down like that was the first time I've ever seen you show so much emotion as well, like the amount of tears and just the things you were saying and like just it was such a new experience for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was definitely a memorable moment and definitely the hardest point, I think, as a sister watching you through this journey.
And I think at that point I realised, okay, I can turn to my sister.
Yeah.
I might not be able to turn to him, but I will turn to her.
Yeah. And
that's what we've been doing since.
I was like, I'll be your ride or die. But yeah, I feel like that was another pivotal moment in our relationship where like Lana reached out to me and like I dropped everything and like I was there and no matter what was going on in my relationship at that time, like this was the priority and this is just another moment that just kind of locked us in. You calling me, asking for help and like me just showing up. Like not knowing what to do except show up and just knowing that you just needed me there to do anything that would help.
Yeah.
So
I just needed time on my own to figure it out.
Oh my gosh, and there's so much more. You need to write a book.
Yeah. We'll drop that soon.
Yeah. Give us another year or two.
I can picture the title now.
What? Don't give it away. Don't give it away. Don't give it away. We'll write it in our notes.
Yeah.
We'll put it on our manifestation board.
Oh, we should.
But that was a beautiful share. Now, we're going to have to jump over to our part 2 episode to listen in about my love story.
Yes.
Should we get into it?
Yep.
All right.